we're in a unique situation here, and I don't know if I've ever seen it. Okay, so you got Tony versus Khabib coming up. We have 3 UFC stars who have already thrown their names out there publicly and said, I will be ready to step in. Number one that called for it was Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje from the beginning said, I'm going to go through training camp. It's even hard for me to get motivated and train, but I'm going to do it because I think there's a likelihood and a possibility, and my next fight wants to be for a title. I'm summarizing. There's the Justin Gaethje piece. Poirier puts his nose into it and says, well, if Gaethje's going to go, put Gaethje as the co-main event, and I'll rematch him. And then if somebody falls out between Khabib and Tony, let the bosses decide, but they'll have 2 options there. Then Conor McGregor steps in all of a sudden, and McGregor says, I will be trained, I will be on weight, I will be ready to step in. Now, I don't know if I've ever seen a situation like that, but at the same time, I don't think that I've ever seen a fight made and fallen through more times than Tony versus Khabib. And what, 4 times it's been made? Isn't this number 5? Am I remembering that correctly? I mean, you can see where I would get that wrong off the top of my head. Hasn't it fallen through 4 times? If I'm wrong, it's fallen through 3, and this is number 4. The point is, a lot can happen here, and I give a lot of credit to the guys that are studying history and using history as the best trajectory for the future. There is a possibility there. Speaking of 155-pounders, I had a very interesting conversation with Josh Thompson. And, I mean, if you want anyone's opinion on Khabib and Tony, Josh is a great guy to go to. He's teammates with Khabib, trained with Khabib more times than anybody could count. He fought Tony. So you go, okay, Josh, what do you think here? Give me some inside scoop here. Josh had one very interesting take that I've never heard from anywhere else, and it had to do with the fact that they're fighting in New York. Now, Josh had many points on this, and we had a meaningful conversation, but listen to this one point that he said, and I even said that to him. I go, hey, Josh, can I use that? Can I tell people you said that? Because this is very interesting. He goes, yeah, take it. Here's how Josh tied this in, though. He fought Tony, and he was telling me how sharp Tony is, how sharp Tony's elbows are, and that he was cut everywhere, and he was cut places that people didn't even know about because it was hidden with his hair. And he said, Tony's just got this ability to slice you up. And he said the relevance on that is they're fighting in New York, which is going to be the same doctor that stopped Masvidal versus Diaz. Now, I have to tell you, I have no way to know who the doctor is going to be that night, and I don't even know that those assignments will come out until the week of, but on the jurisdiction of it being within New York and with it falling under the same scope, possibly, of the same doctor that stopped the Masvidal Diaz, it is a very interesting point that what if Tony could just slip in? And this wasn't Josh's contention. Stop what Josh said, and now I'm adding my own thoughts to it. But what if Josh's contention is true that, boom, Tony's going to split him open? That's just what Tony does. Tony just happens to cut people up. And it's in New York, and you have a doctor who many people would argue stops fights earlier than some other doctors. What if? I mean, what if we're just sitting around talking about it? And I do feel like when you're talking about Tony and Khabib, something's going to be proven that night. It's either going to be proven to us that Tony Ferguson is the kind of guy that you can take down, hold in position, pound on, and win rounds. That's either going to be proven. Or it's going to be proven to us that Tony Ferguson has the best MMA wrestling in the sport. But one of those two things has to be true. And Tony's grappling is so fascinating from an MMA perspective. When you have a national champion wrestler, but he gets taken down a lot because he elects to be in that position. He likes to look for submissions. He likes to hold you down and start striking from his back. That's a very unique thing. That's even a weird thing. But it's effective as all hell, and it's something that's true to the Tony Ferguson story. So one of these things is going to be true. Or Tony's a guy that if you can overpower him, hold him in position, and start pounding, you can start to collect rounds. I don't know. These boys are going to have to go fight. We're going to have to figure that out. But it feels to me, at least for me, as somebody that loves the sport but also likes the X's and O's. I get lost in the drama. I appreciate that side of it too. But the X's and O's of a fight like this are very fascinating. When you have a wild man like Tony Ferguson, where you don't know, is he going to come out tonight and grapple? Is he going to look for submissions? Is he going to look to knock you out? Is he going to do all 3? I mean, you got a madman there. That's anybody's guess in terms of what his game plan is. Versus somebody that's a little bit more straightforward. I mean, Khabib is workmanlike. Khabib is very rinse and repeat. From different fights to different training camps to different rounds within the same night. It is very much just put the tape and rewind. and watch it again. So I do think that it's interesting when you've got some of these guys that are coming out and starting to politic for that top position. Would it go to Conor? Well, everything that we've been told, if Conor is to get by Cowboy, then he's next in line for a title shot. So who the hell cares if it's at the Barclays in April or if it's in August down the road somewhere else? I mean, in theory, right? I guess that would go to Conor. The other side of the coin is maybe somebody does care. They want a longer press tour and they want to build this fight up and maybe even do the rumors of putting it in Ireland or putting it in Moscow, and you save that one for the shelf for a little bit and you start to give a good look at Justin Gaethje. You would run into a very hard problem because Justin Gaethje, by so many people would agree with me, has the mandate of the fans. People want to see Gaethje be given that title opportunity. But if Poirier butts his nose into this thing, you're in a pretty tough spot because those two met up head to head and Poirier got the nod. You could come back to the argument that Poirier was given a title opportunity. We want some fresh blood. I mean, you can go round and around, but that's exactly what you're going to have to do. You're going to be playing musical chairs on this for whoever has the loudest voice in the room and can get themselves hurt. It's a very interesting concept that we have a world title fight coming up. But it's booked for the 5th time, and guys in the division are getting a little hip to the fact that this one keeps falling through, and they're saying, put me in. I'm going to be ready.